Hi, I'm Beth from Restyled Pieces Boutique. Welcome to my channel. If you would like to see today how I take this brown dresser from drab to fab, then stay tuned. So let's just jump right to it. I've got my crud cutter because that's the very first thing you do when you start working on your piece is to clean it. It's grimy, it's dirty, it has waxes and oils and things on it that will repel your paint when you're trying to paint or cause problems when you're trying to stain. So I get my crud cutter, I clean it thoroughly, and then I rinse with water. Very important to rinse with water. Then I can start making my repairs. To make my repairs, I use Bondo and Amazing Putty. I took a good corner of the drawer and I put the putty onto that drawer, made a mold, stuck some Bondo in there, and then attached that putty with the Bondo in it to the drawer until it dried. Then you can just peel back this Amazing Putty and it will reveal that dried Bondo underneath for your new corner. In these corners, I use popsicle sticks and then my frog tape, created a corner where it should have been, filled that space with the Bondo, and then after it hardened, I removed the popsicle sticks to reveal my recreated corner. So this works really well, except one thing you don't want to do is get these molds mixed up because they have a little bit of a difference in the curves, so I numbered them. Also, at the bottom of the dresser, there was a big crack in the bottom. So I figured it would be really a good idea to support that by filling that with Bondo. I also did some gluing repairs to this leg. And this leg, they had already made some repairs to, but there was a big giant crack around the screws and the places where they made the repair. So I had to use quite a bit of Bondo for that repair. So here I am, the Bondo has dried, and I'm just going to pop this yellow Amazing Putty off of this corner, just like so, voila. And then, yeah, it looks rough and it looks a little ugly, but a little sanding will take care of that, and then I'll have this beautiful, smooth surface instead of a broken corner. Now here, I'm removing those popsicle sticks and that frog tape to reveal my nice straight sides, and then the rest of it looks a little messy again. But once you get your sander out, you can smooth that out to your desired shape and it just blends in perfectly. So here I am with my 3x4 electric ray sander by Surf Prep, and I am sanding off this edge of this drawer, trying to make it a little curved, trying to make it flat enough. So this part really is kind of an art because it's not easy to get it exactly perfect. And you'll see in just a minute what I mean by that. So if you look at how the drawers are, they are flush with the frame, but you can see where I made my repair is not flush with the frame. There's a little bit sticking out. If you look at this side and compare it, that is flush with the frame. It's even. So if you go over to the edge of this side, you can see that it's still sticking out a little bit. So I need to be sanding just a little more on that. And now here I am with this leg sanding some more. Yes, folks, there is a lot of sanding when you are working on furniture. Prep is probably 80% of what you do. So I sanded that leg down, made that nice and smooth. Now it looks different colors, but the Bondo is very smooth. It's even with the finish of the rest of the wood, and it is ready to be painted. After I made all my repairs, I had to take my Surf Prep and sand over the entire piece. This is called scuff sanding. You can do it by hand or you can use a small sander. If you have that, it makes the job much faster. Not quite as fast as I'm going right here, but it makes it much faster. I use anywhere from a 120 to a 180 grit, depending on how many dings and imperfections there are on my piece. So now I am going through all my drawers and I'm using little pieces of frog tape to tape those hardware holes, because when I put those drawers in my dresser, as I do, they will get paint in them, or when I'm sanding like I am here, they'll get sawdust inside the drawers, and I've already cleaned them and I don't want to have to clean all that overspray from my sprayer or the sawdust out of my drawers. So I realized that the drawer sides were not in the best of shape, that some of the varnish or the stain that the previous person who refinished it had got all over the edges of the drawers, and I wanted to refreshen up the backs and the tops and the sides, and just make it look a lot better and a lot nicer, a lot fresher. So because I spray with my drawers in, I like to tape up the sides and the top of the drawers so that when I push my drawers in before I spray this piece, I won't get any overspray in there. And if you look right here where I've taped them, you can see where the dovetails are in the drawers. I'm pointing those out. I will take another small piece of tape and make sure I get that whole piece covered. It's a little more difficult with curvy drawers than it is straight drawers. So now that I have my drawer taped up, where do I put it? On the bottom, whenever I purchase a piece and I take my first drawer out, I start numbering them. So I have a number 1 on the bottom of this one, so I know exactly what position it goes in. So I go left to right and top to bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I had previously scuff sanded this top, but I wanted to try to strip it to see if I could make the top wood. So I used this QCS, which was a new product to me that I was wanting to try out. I sprayed the top down liberally twice, just like the directions say. And then I started scraping. I scraped off the old gooey finish. This is never my favorite part. I always cover up the bottom of the rest of my piece because I feel like it gets all over the rest of the piece. And I've never been a big person for strippers, but this really did take off a lot of the other finish, and then it will be easier for me to sand that top. The top was all sanded after I did the stripping on it, and there was still finish down in those little pockets of the wood. There were some places on the top that were nicked, and the front that needed some wood filler or Bondo put in it. So I really am not going to be able to save this top. So get out my Zensorbin primer and we're going to prime the top. I like to use a disposable tray and then a strainer to strain my bin primer. I use gloves, and yes, I use a respirator. I don't have it here, but you'll see it when I start painting. I like to use a microfiber roller, and I just strain that bin primer and I go to town. After I finished priming the top, I primed the rest of the piece and then gently sanded it with a 180 to 220 to get off all the nubs. And here's my favorite part. I used this beautiful color of Sherwin-Williams Emerald Urethane Trim Enamel in Fresco Cream to paint this dresser. I'm also using my Wagner Flexio 3500 and my Wagner spray tint. I love this sprayer. This is the 3rd sprayer I've owned, and I really like all of them, but this is my favorite. It puts on such a smooth finish. It has an adjustable flow for your paint, and it has an adjustable airflow valve. It's all in the details, or so they say. After I have sprayed, then I use my little artist brush to go over the tops and the sides of each of the drawers. This is just a little extra detail. It makes it look way more finished and beautiful. I decided to add a transfer to the top. I love this transfer from Redesign by Prima. It is called Anthurium, and I think that's a flower name, but it has a lot of other flowers and plants on it. So when you put that on, you take off the backing of each piece. It comes in 3 pieces. You take off the backing, attach that to your front of your piece or wherever you're putting it on your piece, and then you just burnish, which means to rub with a stick or the little tool that Prima sells to get that transfer to stick to your piece. It's permanent. You do have to seal it with either a top coat or wax. Definitely recommend that. You don't want to leave a transfer on the front of your furniture that's not sealed. So you can see me doing each section, and when I get to a part where there's a drawer, I use my X-Acto knife to slit the transfer so that I can put it on and take off that outer plastic piece section by section. So my next step here is taking some Howard's Feed and wax, some Dixie Belle Big Mama's Butter, or Mohawk drawer slide wax, any of those things. There's lots of products on the market. I really prefer Howard's Feed and wax. It just has a lighter scent, but I'm going to use up this Mohawk wax that I have. I wax down those drawer slides and the insides of the frame, just to make sure that when I put those drawers in, they slide very smoothly. And here I am using that Howard's Feed and wax to also do the same thing on the sides of the drawers. I want you to look at this sheen. Look at that. It has gone from dull and drab to this beautiful shiny wood grain. It brings out the wood grain and it just nourishes and moisturizes that wood. Beautiful sheen. So my favorite part has arrived, adding the hardware. This Drexel dresser has this beautiful hardware that I revived, and I use my Black & Decker cordless screwdriver to help save my hands. To clean up this hardware, I use a combination of half water and half vinegar, boil the hardware in it for 15 minutes, and then take it out with your pliers because it's going to be hot, and scrub it with steel wool. And Maggie, my little fur baby, came out to just visit me in the shop. She does that sometimes. And here is the final product. Guys, I am so excited at how this came out. I love how I placed the transfer so it looks like it's growing out of the bottom. I love the color. I love the finish on it. I'm so happy. I let my client know that it was finished and sent her some pictures and a video, and she thinks it's gorgeous. She said, I cannot possibly give that up. I'll be there to pick it up soon. Thanks so much for joining me. If you made it through that whole video, I am so happy that you're here, still here, and I would love for you to become a member of my channel. So if you would subscribe down below, I would appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can put those in the comments and I'll do the best that I can to try to answer those. So thanks again for joining me today at Restyled Pieces Boutique. See you soon.